Hi there, Francois. We're going to start with the potential fallout for business of the Ukraine crisis. European leaders there to meet in Brussels on Thursday. They've threatened further sanctions to punish Russia for the annexation of Crimea. At the same time, there are fears among European businesses that they'll become collateral damage. 6,000 German companies do business in Russia, and as Damien McGuinness now explains, their appetite for sanctions is limited.
Industrial machinery, German-made, but for the Russian market, which accounts for 15 to 20% of Mathis Menzel's business. So economic sanctions against Russia could spell disaster for his company.
We're exhibiting at a trade fair in April in St. Petersburg. Over the last few years, we've seen a marked growth in the trade with the Russian market. If that collapses, that would be a real blow for our export business.
Machinery, electronics, cars, all typical German exports to Russia, amounting to 36 billion euros last year. Germany's business community warns that economic sanctions against Russia could have a boomerang effect.
If there is an escalation in the crisis, then it's clear that German jobs that depend on exports will be hit. And there are almost 400,000 jobs in Germany dependent on Russian trade.
Germany, as Russia's third biggest trading partner, has a lot to lose. But despite this, the German government is getting tough. Sources close to Chancellor Angela Merkel say that sanctions are being seen as inevitable.
If we engage in major sanctions, that would have an impact on the whole European economy. But that is the price that we would be forced to pay. We have to face up to the fact that to a certain extent we'll also suffer from the sanctions. We have to be politically ready for that.
But German society seems less keen on such self-sacrifice. More than two-thirds of Germans don't want sanctions against Russia.
Now, stock markets traded up yesterday on hopes that the fallout of the Ukraine crisis would be limited. Investors, they're keeping an eye on the situation still, but we're not seeing much movement this Wednesday in relation to the Ukraine crisis. This is the picture over in the United States this hour. As you can see, the indices there are pretty flat as investors, they're waiting for the end of a Fed meeting in Washington, D.C. Markets are waiting to hear whether the Fed will continue to unwind its stimulus of the U.S. economy. Now, the markets here in Europe, they were mixed at the close of trade, with the CAC in Paris slightly up, or slightly down, I should say, and the FTSE also falling back after gaining on Tuesday. The MySex in Moscow also came down somewhat, run about 1.25%. If we take a look at some other market news, Germany's DAX index got a boost as shares in BMW surged by almost 7%. The gain came as the German carmaker issued an upbeat forecast for sales and profits this year. BMW says pre-tax earnings will come in significantly higher than last year's 7.9 billion euros. The company is also to sell more than 2 million vehicles. Now, shares in Spanish clothes retailer Inditex reached new highs on Wednesday, closing 4.5% higher. It came as the owner of Zara said it saw strong sales during the first 6 weeks of its current financial year. At the same time, the retailer said its profits barely grew in the year that ended in January. Those profits came in at 2.4 billion euros as Inditex said it continued to invest in expanding its stores. Now, Toyota is to pay $1.2 billion to atone for misleading statements about car safety. That settlement with the U.S. government was announced by Attorney General Eric Holder in Washington earlier. He says it's the largest penalty of its kind to be imposed on a car maker. The action concludes a 4-year investigation after Toyota recalled more than 10 million vehicles. Holder says Toyota concealed information over issues with brakes, accelerator pedals and floor mats.
As part of the resolution of this case, Toyota will fully admit wrongdoing. It will pay a financial penalty of $1.2 billion. And going forward, the company will submit to rigorous review by an independent monitor that will examine and assess the manner in which Toyota regularly reports safety issues to the public and its regulator.
Next up, the British economy is growing faster than expected, according to Finance Minister George Osborne. He's upgraded the British government's 2014 growth forecast to 2.7% from 2.4%. Osborne confirmed the update when he was unveiling his next budget in London. It contains some tax cuts for workers and pensioner savings, but Osborne said it's too early to pull away from the austerity policies that his government has applied to reduce UK debts.
We are now growing faster than Germany, faster than Japan, faster than the United States. In fact, there is no major advanced economy in the world growing faster than Britain today.
Rowdy as always in the British Parliament. We're going to take a closer look at that story in around about an hour and a half when I come back with more business headlines. For now, though, it's back to you, Francois.
All right, we're going to stay in England. Many thanks, Marcus Carlson. It is time for sports, a full debrief on the Champions League with Dan Levy. How are you?